everyone, and welcome to the Human Design Podcast with me, your host, Emma Dunwoody. I'm a qualified master coach and human behaviour specialist, as well as being a qualified human design coach. And I work with clients every single day to answer the big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And what is my purpose? I also assist them to transition from the person they think they should be to the person they really are on the inside. I teach people how to actually live their design instead of just knowing it. And if this is something that you want to do too, well, stay tuned or reach out for private coaching or Human Design Unpacks, where I show you exactly how to live your design. Hey, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Human Design Podcast. There's someone I wanted to introduce you to. That is another one of our incredible sponsors on the program, our Millions of Millionaires mission. That is to make sure that we do everything that we can to support entrepreneurs and small businesses so that they can create the business of their dreams. So the amazing Heather Ivany is here with me. Many of you might have heard of Heather on our podcast. It was an awesome episode. I probably should know the number off my top of my head, but I don't. I'm sure that's no surprise to you guys. So go check out the podcast. But Heather, welcome to the podcast again.
Oh, I'm super excited to be back, Emma. Yeah, we have so much fun when we get together, and you have such a brilliant audience. So it's an honor to be back in your company again.
Oh, thank you. And you're absolutely right. I'm so grateful for my audience. I really am. They are such a beautiful bunch of humans. I'm really grateful. Now, when we did a session together, I know that your speciality, although you're a spiritual mentor, you have, experience with yoga, you have experience with the Akashic records, you have experience with energy healing. I'm sure there even Reiki in there. Like there's a long list. And one of the things that I know now is a real speciality of yours is purpose. So how do you help people with their purpose?
Yeah. So when we talk about purpose, there's sort of three main ways that I look at this. One is our soul has a timeline, right? And it's connected to higher dimensions in the all-knowing realm. And then our soul is also connected to our incarnated self. So it's got this connection to oneness, and it's got this connection to individuality. So if someone really wants to work on their connection to consciousness and be fulfilled with their feeling connected to the bigger picture, then that's when I work with the Akashic records with people. I show them how to read their own records. I show them how to read other people's records. And then you can even go into the Akashic records of your business, current events, plants, animals, anything that has a consciousness has a record connection connected to it. And then if someone is more honing in on like, what is the purpose in this particular lifetime that I'm in? So their incarnated purpose, I work with a program called Unlocking You. It's also a 3-month-long program, same as the Akashic training, but this one's designed specifically to help keep people from being distracted by the periphery, give them tools to hone into their midline, and then amplify their purpose and help them to fulfill it in this lifetime.
Oh my goodness, that sounds so exciting, far out. And so what do they learn? Is it Akashic records? What else do they learn in that program?
Yeah, so the Unlocking You program, so what I've done with that one is I've taken sort of the 25 years of teaching yoga, and I've taught multiple different types of teacher training programs. But what I did is I pulled from the philosophy of the wisdom of these thousands of years of yoga and pulled out like, what are the tools that everyone can benefit from if they want to be more connected to themselves. So we work with intention that is like more powerful than just an affirmation or wishful thinking. I show people how to really hone in on how to work with intention at certain times a day so it's more amplified.
Oh,
and how to,
I love that.
Yeah, and then phrase it into like a positive I am statement, because I am is the language of the universe. And it's the language of present moment. So those 2 points bring us into a very amplified experience of intention. And then inevitably, when someone's wanting to shift and change and transform, resistance is going to show up. So I show individuals how resistance is actually your ally and not your enemy, and how to work with it to create opportunity and change. We create boundaries because most people have really strong boundaries with other people, but maybe not with themselves, or they have it with the human dimension, but they don't have it with the energetic dimension. So we work with boundaries in those three ways. And then we also play with meditation in a form that is personalized to the individuals that I'm working with. Because meditation can be, for some people, just walking barefoot in nature. And for others, it's like a 40-minute transcendent experience. So I just let it be very personalized.
I love
and then
that.
Rest is the final element, because we get so excited in this human form that we forget that it requires rest and cup filling and nourishment. So I work with Yoga Nidra to show people how to amplify the rest space.
Wow, I love all of that. And as you were talking through, like, so much of that resonates as well. I love how you are making it sort of unique to each individual that's part of the group. So can you share the sort of results that people are getting? I know that for me personally, when we had our session together, I was blown away. Like, I was blown away at what was shared with me, and what the results that I got is that instant, like, oh my God, I can trust this. I can really trust this subtle energy, that I get this feeling, this knowing, keep going. So for me, it was really profound in that place. Are there other results that you might be able to share, some other stories?
Yeah, so sticking with the Unlocking You program, oftentimes when people start to really hone in on themselves and their aligned purpose, they become more confident and courageous to make changes in their life. So I've had individuals go from, one woman was an accountant that eventually moved into doing, becoming a doula for palliative care, which is beautiful.
Yeah, wow.
I've had individuals, one woman she's a clinical psychologist, and she moved from working in sort of a system-based employee situation to being able to branch out on her own and create her own private practice. And then in that, she offers Akashic sessions within her counseling session. So it gave her more freedom to express her healing energies in the way that she felt more authentic to herself.
I love that.
So those are some of the results with the Unlocking You. And then what's most fun with the Akashic training is people get really nervous before it starts, thinking, oh, what if I can't do this? Or what if I can't read someone else's records? I've never had anyone go through that isn't able to read the records by the time we're done. And so that alone is mind-blowing, because a lot of people think when they're in sessions, healing sessions, they think that it's some sort of a gift that someone has that makes them able to work with energy in the way that they do. And honestly, it's a skill set that just needs to be honed in on and practiced and consistently practiced, and it's curated and sort of pulled out from the individual and expressed. So I love those transformations. And then the third signature program that I have is called Sovereign Leadership. And this is working with the energetic realm to support the entrepreneur that wants to amplify their income. So I've seen people go from 5xing to 10xing their income per month, just working with
that.
Yeah, the resources that are around them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That sounds, I feel like I want to sign up to all of them. I'm all in with you, Heather. You've been such an incredible person to work with. I'm also like, I really want to have a session and let's look at my business's Akashic records. That sounds so exciting. So how can people get in contact? Obviously, we're going to put all the links in the show notes, but how can people find you?
Yeah, the best way is just to go to my website, and it's simply my name, heatherivany.com. That's the easiest way. All of my programs are on the homepage there under the little tab offering. Most of them start in September, end of September, early October, and they'll repeat in the new year as well if it feels a little bit too rushed for anyone starting soon. I also have a retreat in November in Cellulita. So this is for the individual that has done a lot of the growth work and just wants to be in the experience. So it's called Harmonize, and it's working with nature. It's working with body movement, meditation, Akashic, fire ceremonies. You don't have to be an expert in any of them. You just have to have a willingness and a desire to want to attune and harmonize to your own heart song. So that's in November. And then the other way people can get in touch with me would be through Instagram. And it's just my name, Heather_Ivany. So yeah.
Oh, amazing. Well, people, you have to go and check out all of these programs. The retreat sounds amazing too. I feel like I want to go on every single retreat that I speak to, like all the people in my world. I want to go there. I want to be on all of them. So if this has lit your fire, if you're excited, if you're curious, if you're a little bit obsessed with Heather like I am, go and check out the show notes and find the program that's going to suit you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Heather. Hey, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Human Design Podcast. I am so excited to share one of my mastermind members with you today. It has been an amazing journey. Amy's been the quietest one in the room, especially in the beginning, and she would be like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. And she's just had this incredible transformation, and you're such a powerhouse. So welcome, Amy Clemente, to the podcast.
Really happy to be here. Thank you so much.
I would love if you could just share with the listeners just a little bit about you and maybe your type, your authority, your profile, so they know a little bit about your human design as well. In fact, what sparked you to join the mastermind as well? So maybe throw that into the story.
Okay. I guess I was introduced to human design about right after my son was born, and he's 3 now. And I was just told I was a generator. I'm supposed to wait to respond, and that's it. And I just started experimenting, jump right into, and that kind of relieved all of my anxiety that I had. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to respond. It felt like I just took a deep breath and my whole life changed with just that little piece of information. And it took me a really long time to want to go any further with my journey, because that was so life-changing. But then as I started reading some of the books, I was like, well, I want more. I want more. I want more. And then a lot of things that are coming through this mastermind. I'm a generator. I'm a pure generator, sacral response. I have defined the root, the sacral, and my spleen. And what else do you want me to say? And I have a lot of openness. So
what's your profile?
Thank you. I'm a 3/5.
Yeah. I just have to jump in straight away and just say,
Great.
What I love is how much shift you had just from responding. I think this is the thing that, listeners hear me bang on about all the time. It's awesome fun to get into your gates and your channels and those depths, but the magic can be in just strategy and authority. So I love that. So what drove you to, obviously you wanted more, but what was going on in your life that you were like, all right, no more of this. I'm not putting up with this anymore. I want to change my life. So what did you want to change in your life? What did you feel human design could give you?
I really been leaning into, it's funny, asking who the heck I am and trying to live more authentically to be me. And I think human design provided a lot of answers to why I was so confused and get so off track, or quote unquote, what I consider off track, and feel really all of the things, a lot of confusion, just really, really confused. And my openness kind of gave me I was like, oh, it's taking on other people's stuff and it's not mine. So new wording around that. It was more than just, I feel people's feelings amplified with my open emotional solar plexus. So it just gave me all these words and actual specific areas where I could go through one by one and take a look at what was actually going on. And it made me feel really seen. And when I felt really seen, it made me want to lean more into being who I really am, because as the question that you always said, why would I ever be designed this way? I do believe I am designed for a reason. Yeah. So the other part that this mastermind has really given me is that the first thing, it goes back to being a generator. And one of the first is that my aura is attractive. So people are always going to be coming to me. And I always just wanted to hide from all of that. I wanted people to stay away. And that's not how I'm supposed to live in this world. And so I wanted to really look at the question so I don't have to hide. And one of those things is starting to play with, it was actually, I hate the word boundaries. I don't want to do boundaries, but that line there gave me permission to be like, maybe you should start to look at this so you can be you. Yeah. If that makes sense, about boundaries and what they mean to you.
Yeah. And it's just so well said. And what's really fascinating that I love about this is, that you say you didn't want to be seen, you were kind of wanted to keep everybody out. And you also have this, or had this not great relationship with boundaries. You didn't like boundaries. And isn't that interesting? Like you put massive boundary on yourself, you going outward, but not putting a boundary for people coming inward. And as a line 5, that's never gonna be resourceful for you. It's never going to work for you. You really need to be able to put your own boundaries on you, to who you work with, who you help. And, like being a line 5, especially in the body, you can't get away from it because you are going to be someone who really people are so drawn to, being a generator as well. One of the things that I loved, I've so many of the things that you've said I love, and I've watched this journey of you being the one. I remember the first call, you were like, you didn't want to go first, second, third, you were right up the back of the group. And you were like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. And I think there's people in there that I think they take up to like 45 minutes to go through to answer their questions. And you'd be like done in 3 minutes. And, by the session number 3, all of a sudden you're like, that person that would sit back in the corner was leaning forward. She's engaged. Seeing you start to really come out of your shell in the Telegram group. And what I love about it is that at no point did I give you a to-do list or a strategy. I didn't say, well, to overcome this fear of X, then you must Y. All we did was go through the process of diving into your design, letting you go at your own pace, and you just bloomed. And then it's probably 4 weeks ago now, you say this absolute doozy. One of the things that you've become really good at that I love is that, okay, you still don't talk for 45 minutes, but when you speak, the whole room's like, shit, mic drop, like there's this real impact. And, again, with an undefined throat, that's the way that they can really work instead of having to fill space or, sometimes they do, sometimes they can be real chatterboxes, but you're that real example of, when you speak or when you contribute, people really do listen. And I've loved watching you evolve over time. Now, one of the mic drop moments that I just thought was freaking gold, and I'd love you to expand on, is that you said your aha moment for that week was, I never knew it could be so quick and so easy when it comes to transformation. So could you tell us a little bit about that? Like maybe even let's have a look at the transformation that you've already done. It took time, did it? And then let's talk about how this has been quick. Like what specifically made it quick and easy for you this time around?
Yeah, I remember that really well. And it was the week before, I think it was centers, and we were talking about, I could not connect to my spleen. And for me at that time, the week before I had so much fear all the time. And the thing was, I had so much fear and I wasn't acting on any of it. So I was just staying stuck in the fear. And I was shaking before I would share every time.
Yeah.
So I shake before today, but it's gone already.
I love it. Right?
But that time when I finally just said, you said it in that thing that you just have to practice. Is that like, it's a muscle. Yeah. So you just walk through it, you just face it. And then with a defined spleen, I could have the experience of not having to deal with it again if I keep practicing. And when I just embraced that, was like, I have done that my whole life. I just hadn't practiced it recently. It was like the whole, and the desire to want to align with who I really am was the guiding force, I believe, for that. Because I just want to be that. And the other part that was given is being in this group of women, and you included, right, that we're all different and we're all really, 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 really allowed to be right where we are.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to get anywhere. We're just being right here is like that's been like one of the most comforting and safety, like nurturing, like thing to move forward. Because permission to be me right here, right now. And I'm going to change tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And that's okay here too, So I don't know if I actually answered your question.
But I love that you did. And I'll come back to the spleen and fear. But the thing that I absolutely love about what you just said, and I think that this is really important, you've just given me an aha moment, is this is very much the containers that we have, you know, whether it's HDX, Mastermind 1.0 or 2.0, we have people that are brand new to human design. And, you know, in 1.0, we have Adrienne, and she's been doing this for years. She's been, I think, been in HDX for 3 years or something like that. So this has been a long journey for her. And I love what you said as well, is that we're not getting to a destination, you know. Everything we talk about the first draft, you know, where you're at. Like if you want to talk for 3 minutes and someone else wants to talk for 30 minutes, you know, that's fine. And I think what just came to mind is I think that's why these programs are so incredibly successful, because everyone gets met where they're at and they're allowed to fully step in. And, you know, I see this over and over and over again in my programs, that I've this beautiful growth that I've seen with you, is that from that shaking, I'll go last, I don't want to say anything, oh, are we out of time? Okay, don't worry about me, you know, to this place where, well, I've just got 2 things to say, and boom, boom, you know, they hit. And that intention piece, that, you know, you just want to be more you just want to be more aligned, and letting everyone else be that, I think it's a great demonstration of how we can hold space for all these extraordinarily different people, different places in their journey, and all still get, you know, the results that we're looking for. And I think that that's really beautiful. Is there anything in that you want to respond to?
Not yet. No, keep going.
Beautiful. So let's go back to the spleen thing. And I love this. I think it's so, so powerful, because we were talking about the spleen and fear. And the piece that was really that aha, that breakthrough moment for you, was the fact that you have a defined spleen, and you've got a very defined spleen. And what that means is that you just have your own fears. You're not taking in anyone else's fears. They're your own created fears. Now, some of them will be intergenerational. Some of them will be kind of like deep in the DNA. But we can look through each gate, and, you know, which you did, and looked through each gate and how to look at each fear and that sort of thing. But it's this piece that when you have a defined spleen, you can just, when you're afraid, you just lean into it, and it's done and dusted. And I think it's this beautiful evidence of, or this beautiful example of how human design is so powerful, because when we talk about fear, for anyone who hasn't read it, you should read it. The book called, you know, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Whenever we're building the muscle around fear, we're talking about like leaning into it, like taking that leap. But every time we don't take that leap, the chemicals in our brain increase. So it gets harder to move into our fear or through our fear. So just that piece for you, Amy, knowing that, wow, I just really have to just, you know, build the courage, move through it this time, and then I can fully let it go, was really transformational for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there is another offering that human design has, which is I can actually just rely on my strategy and authority, which also helps my boundary fear too, because I can just respond in the moment. And if I get more information in another moment, I can respond differently in that moment. And so then it also is just another elixir for my fear again. Of all of that stuff, of having to make a decision and having to stick to it for the rest of my life. No, not by strategy and authority. I can wait, you know, and respond again, which also goes back to me just wanting to be me. So it's just this whole new, even coming here, I can just respond to you, and I don't have to be anything else. That's all you're expecting from me, which is, I don't know, very freeing. So
yeah, I love that. And I totally agree. I think about even my journey, one of the things for me is that I have learned just to respond, just be me, you know, like just trust that I have everything that is needed for each moment. Love it. So being in the mastermind on this journey, you have absolutely transformed before my eyes, which I love. I see it a lot, and it's why I do what I do. So how specifically has it improved life outside of the mastermind? Like, how is life better?
I guess one of my driving forces is also my kids, because I would like to be a different person that supports them through all their, like, them being them. So it gives me a lot of hope that I can continue on that journey to always there. And it gives me so many tools for so many different experiences that I have daily. And I'm in a place where I don't really have there's not a lot of a direction. Well, and I have an open G center too. So very open, and I still have something that I can come back to, a foundation to move forward.
Yeah.
So I feel I'm having a lot more fun. I love experiments because of my line 3. So I play with it all the time. Yeah. So, and just letting go, I get to let go of a lot of things that don't serve me anymore. And I can come back to something. So that's the other part, like coming back to a foundation, which I never thought that I had before. I do have some semblance of myself, which, that was the other part of my huge aha was even though with all the openness, there is still consistencies, which I've also gotten from the reflectors we have in our group. There is consistency. So, and also what is true for me? That question to come back to all the time. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. Is it true for me? Not right now. So I can trust that. So it's just permission to trust whatever it is for me right now. I mean, that's the greatest gift ever. And I use it all day, every day.
Yeah. I love that. It's so beautiful to hear as well, because ultimately that is what I'm always banging on about, like you becoming your own guru. At the end of the day, we are at this time with planet Earth where there's massive transformation, and we can't listen to the authorities. We can't listen to the powers that be. Sometimes they will guide us where we need to go, and a lot of the time they won't, because they're operating from their reality, from what they believe is true and important. So I think that as we navigate through this chaos, I love what you said. It's like you always get to come back to your foundation. And ultimately what that does is that's building your self-worth, because you're learning to trust you trust the universe, you can trust the uncertainties, because like you said, you can answer yes or no in this moment, and 2 moments later, 2 days later, 2 weeks later, 2 years later, you can respond in a completely different way. And just trusting that process. And I love as well, because it takes out of the equation this need to have clarity all the time, this need of having to know exactly that the action steps to take or the strategy to use. Like if you want to understand all of those things, or you need those answers, then you just put it out, intentionality, like out into the universe, and allow the universe to bring back to you those answers, and your internal guidance system, in your case, your sacral, gets to respond with, yep, that's it. No, that's not it. Which I absolutely love. And I love what you said as well. I'm just going to touch on it because for any reflectors out there, we've got 2 in one of the groups at the moment, and we've been myth busting reflector knowledge left, right, and center, haven't we? It's been amazing, and really getting people to understand that there is consistency everywhere in our chart, even though most of the knowledge and a lot of the teachers focus more on the inconsistency. There is so much consistency in all charts, and that's where we really know ourselves. That's where we can come back to our home base, our trust, our process. So I love that. I love that. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything else you'd like to share about your transformation and your experience with human design?
You made me think of one other thing about just that's the other concept of just that there's nothing lacking in me due to my openness also. And it's so beautiful that I do trust that I know that I'm going to get what I need, and from exactly the place that it comes. And I just like giving myself a little bit more time to respond to things too. There's nothing wrong with time. So, and again, that's just, I don't know. It's just so, I just never gave myself that time, but there was permission and space here for waiting for that to come. Because and by the way, it's worth the wait. That was the other huge part, I think.
Yeah.
to be in the right relationships, to hear to the people that actually hear me, rather than focusing on all the times people never heard me because I wasn't responding properly, you know. And just, so I have a lot of experiences of that too, that made it super clear. So they're all part of the process. But anyway, that was the other big thing that the reflectors in our group and all the people have displayed through their experiences for me. So
yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think that that's it. It's the beauty of really starting to run your experiment and be in this container where you actually see everyone going through this process. And it doesn't matter how much knowledge you come into the room with. Everybody gets the same transformation and connection. And yeah, I just love it. It freaking makes my heart sing. I love these programs. Is there something?
Think of one last thing?
Yeah,
you made
please.
Me think of, you said in the first thing, you're like, these people are going to be your best friends at the end of this. And I was like, that is the biggest baloney I've ever heard. And then last week I was like, she was right.
Yep.
I really didn't believe you. So.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting again, because it's my design. And one of the things that I noticed really quickly was how the universe puts these groups together. And, you know, inevitably there's tears on the first call. There's vulnerability from day one. The Telegram groups go off, and people do become old friends. Like even from my first mastermind, there's a bunch of them that are still, you know, really, really close. And, you know, that's my design. You know, it's my 37. That's what I do. I bring people together in community as friends. And this is another place where I've thrown out all the strategies that I've been taught, you know, like interview people for the mastermind, make sure you only get, inverted commas, your type of people. I leave it up to the universe, and magic happens every time. So yeah, it's an incredible group. It really is.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
Thank you, Amy, for being here and sharing your story. I feel like it's going to help so many people. And if you're listening to Amy and you're curious, hopefully you already have your chart, the free chart from our website. Hopefully you've gone back to the earlier episodes in the podcast where you can dive in and get to know yourself even clearer. But if you're in that place where you need a new community, you need these people around you, then I really encourage you to have a look at HDX, because the Human Design Experience is an incredible, amazing community. We connect on 2, sometimes 3 live calls a month. There's all the content you could possibly need. We've also just built a members, God, I always forget what the word, but it's like this connection. So you can connect with people in your same country, same city. And that was the other thing, the crazy thing in the mastermind in the European group. The 2 of them are in, oh God, if I get this wrong, I'm sorry, girls. I think they're both in Sweden. And they live like an hour apart. So they've caught up for coffee and all this sort of stuff. So it's super, super fun. So, yeah, if you're listening to this and you're looking for your HD community, come and check out ours, because it's a rock star community, and it's where all the cool kids hang out. So thanks so much, Amy. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Emma.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. I trust you got what you needed from today's episode, and I look forward to having you on the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks everyone for being here all the way to the end of the podcast. I hope you got lots of value out of it. I certainly had a lot of fun doing it. Could I please ask that you share this podcast with friends if you found it valuable? And also, bonus points, could you leave a review for me as well on Apple? It would be greatly appreciated. If at any point you would like to be on the podcast, or you've got questions that you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, by all means, get on my socials and DM me. Everything you need is there in the show notes. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.